Extra. I am Fumi Wakama, sitting in tonight. The holidays are over and it's back to work. The Buhari cabinet has also swung into action to drive the 2017 development process. Tonight, attention is going to the procurement of firefighting equipment. And as the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport sets for a new look, we'll get to see the state of Kaduna Airport as it takes the load of Abuja. Also tonight, canvassing support for the administration, even as Nigerians suggest priority areas in 2017. These are some of the top stories tonight on News Extra. Once again, you're welcome. The federal government has approved the procurement of state-of-the-art firefighting equipment in response to incidents of fire outbreaks across the country. Minister of Interior Abdurrahman Dambazao announced this while briefing newsmen after the Federal Executive Council meeting. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports that the council also approved the completion of Kaduna Airport Terminal building.
Presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari, the Federal Executive Council meeting critically analyzed the alarming rate of fire outbreaks in Nigeria and resolved to enhance the capacity of the Federal Fire Service for disaster prevention, mitigation, preparedness, response and recovery. Consequently, the members approved the release of about 4.5 billion naira for the purchase of necessary equipment, including 23 new firefighting vehicles.
This procurement is going to go a long way to improve existing facilities. This is just a start. We are also hoping that the 2017 budget will avail us the opportunity to procure more equipment for the Federal Fire Service. We are also moving to partner with the state governments to standardize fire services delivery all over the country.
While efforts are being made at the highest level towards ensuring strict compliance with the nation's building and fire codes, the minister said approval has also been given for the recruitment of more firefighters.
Fire service needs a lot of strength, a lot of energy to be able to tackle some of these challenges. We want to make fire service attractive.
In another memo brought to the council, the members approved an expenditure of about 1.1 billion naira for the completion of the airport terminal building in Kaduna, started in 2012.
That terminal building will be concluded and finished in due course. It has a completion period of 6 months. The contractor will remain within that 6-month period or lower. The contractor has accepted and council has approved. As Kaduna is, there's already a facility that can be used, robust enough to take the passengers for the operations of 6 weeks. It will not hinder it. It will not stop them also from working.
Mr. Hadi Sirika also gives an update on the planned closure of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport for the repairs of its runway.
The entire structure of the runway has failed. The runway was designed for 20 years to cater for not more than 100,000 passengers per annum. Today, it's doing over 5 million passengers per annum and is there for 34 years. So it's gone 14 years in excess of design age. It's not a joke. We are a government and a very sensitive one for that matter. We wouldn't just cause hardships or distortions to economy and so on for the heck of it.
The Minister of State for Aviation, Hadi Sirika, also stated that the federal government is on course as regards its plan for the takeoff of an ambitious and viable private sector-driven national air carrier, while permission has been granted for aviation security to bear arms in order to effectively secure the nation's airports. And for the presidential media advisor, Femi Adesina, it was an opportunity to react to skepticisms in some quarters over the payment of 5,000 naira stipends to the poorest of the poor by the federal government as part of the social investment program.
This is a government that is built on integrity and accountability. This government will not lie to Nigerians, does not lie to Nigerians. In fact, anything that you hear from this government, you can take it to the bank. Believe it. So if anybody comes and says his politics is not true, choose who to believe.
This is the first meeting of the Federal Executive Council in the year 2017. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Many thanks, Adamu. The Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, has dismissed insinuation in some quarters that the payment of 5,000 naira monthly stipend to the less privileged in the country is mere propaganda. The federal government has just announced the commencement of the payment of the stipend through the conditional cash transfer of its social investment program, which is a form of safety net for the poorest and most vulnerable people as budgeted for in 2016. 9 states are being covered in the first batch of beneficiaries. You're still watching NTA News Extra, and I'm being joined in the studio by the Special Advisor to the President on Social Investment, Mrs. Miriam Uwais. It's nice to have you in the studio, and I think it's just okay to say compliments of the season and wish you a very good new year.
Thank you very much.
Good.
It's nice to be here.
Thank you. Now, you heard the reaction to the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity regarding the monthly stipend for the poorest of the poor in the country. What criterion was used in selecting these beneficiaries? Maybe that's the crux of the matter.
Yes, you know, when we first began working, one of the first issues we realized was that there was a problem with safety nets in terms of targeting. And we looked at best practices around the world, and it turns out that the World Bank had entered into agreements directly with some states, and it had adopted a particular procedure that's community-based for identifying those that are actually the poorest. Because just saying everybody below a poverty line, the sheer numbers would be impossible to handle.
Yes.
And because we have a national remit, and there are poor people in every community, we were told, I mean, our mandate is 1 million Nigerians, and it's a third of every senatorial district.
A third?
Yes, so it's a third of every state, and we're looking at the poverty mapping from here. And then what had happened was the World Bank had entered into agreements with these 8 states and had actually developed a register. We felt that it was the foundation was critical, and we needed to have people that were really poor. And the process is essentially going into those communities with groups and organizing focus group discussions with the women, with the men, with the youth, asking them in their own context what poverty really means to them, and then asking them which households fall into those categories. Then they elect a grievance redressal officer from within them, so that any errors of exclusion or inclusion are elevated to the center, and then our teams would now go to those particular households and take down the information. What is your income, if any? What are your assets, if any? How many children? How many have gone to school? How many youth? And all that information is put on a device, or we had Excel sheets then, and that information had been developed in 8 states.
Good.
That's a third of those states. And then when we came in, because it was an authentic and credible process, we had that information uploaded onto NIBS. We procured banks. 3 banks offered to give us their services for free. And those banks went with us to these households and took the biometrics of the caregiver, women.
Yes.
And then one alternate. And it is those people that we're paying. So it's essentially a register that had been developed before we came in, that we're now adopting the process for the rest of the country. Now, we didn't have enough money.
Yes, I was just going to ask you, how sustainable is this?
Well, it's the
You
most,
said a third of every senatorial district.
The first year was 30% of this country. Next year is 50% more. And then the last year is 20%.
Okay.
That is how we've designed it.
Yes.
So now we've done 30% of those 8 states. In fact, we've gone beyond 30% because they already had people with the experience at local government level and at community level who know how to organize these focus group discussions, and they already had a register. So we took this information and hosted it on NIBS. And the banks have got the BVN and opened accounts for these people. But the banks have actually signed agreements to go to those communities to pay them, because we're not going to have really poor people traveling to go. And the reality is, where there's poverty, banking infrastructure will be missing.
That's
so
true.
We're compelling the banks to go into those communities to pay these beneficiaries. Now, going forward, because we now have money, we're able to mobilize and develop the register in following this process in so many more states.
Good.
So,
yes, how would you react to those who say that this amount is a mere pittance, and that maybe it's better to create jobs than dole out money to people? How would you react to that, to those people?
Well, I would say that, you know, living here, it's very easy for us to say that 5,000 is a mere pittance. I've been to visit cash transfers programs that are happening around the country. I've seen where it's made a big difference to women for malnutrition, for instance, in Jigawa and in Zamfara. They get 3,500 from the time the woman is confirmed pregnant till the child is born and is 2 years old. And you can see the difference in the family, the health of the child. You can see that the woman is actually saving and able to buy something, an asset, or is able to trade with some money. And it's even, you know, engendered harmony, because they don't quarrel over food. She has her own. We actually interviewed the men, and they were saying, you know, the wives are very supportive. When they don't have farm produce, the women actually give them money for food, you know. So 5,000, I believe, for a really poor person. I mean, all of us have relations at home, and we know that if we give them 1,000, it makes a difference.
It makes a difference, yes.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's a relative thing, and hopefully one day. But this is our budget for now, we can't go beyond our budget.
Exactly. Thank you so much for your time, and we only wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you so much.
All right. And I have been speaking with the special advisor to the president on social investment, Mrs. Miriam Weiss. Moving on the news, Speaker of the House of Representatives, Yakubu Dogara, has urged traditional rulers to rally their subjects in support of the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari. He gave the advice when he visited the Emir of Argungu, Alhaji Sumaila Muhammad Meira, at his palace in Kebbi State. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Akwo has that report.
The visit of Speaker Yakubu Dogara to the palace of Emir of Argungu is one of such meetings that brings to fore the essence of national unity and support for constituted authority and a traditional institution. Speaker Dogara reminded the traditional ruler and his councillors of the good intentions of President Muhammadu Buhari in addressing Nigeria's socio-economic challenges. He emphasized the need for the support of all Nigerians, especially traditional rulers who are custodians of the people's culture. Speaker Dogara was emphatic that the high spirit President Buhari applied in tackling security challenges and corruption will also be extended to the current economic challenges in Nigeria. The speaker recalled that before the inception of the present administration, some states were owing between 5 and 7 months of workers' salaries.
We have seen the good intention of Mr. President in addressing the socio-economic challenges in the country, but he needs our prayers and support to succeed.
Emir of Argungu, Mohammed Mera, commended the House of Representatives under Speaker Yakubu Dogara for supporting the executive arm of government. The traditional ruler expressed gratitude to the Muhammadu Buhari-led administration for implementing the Anchor Borrower program, which is assisting farmers and boosting rice production across the country. Ignatius Nkwo, NTN News.
Northern governors have called on the Tortiv-elect Professor James Ayatse to work towards unifying the people of the region. The governors made the call during a solidarity visit to the monarch at his Makudi residence. Achigili Magaji reports that the delegation was made up of governors of Borno, Bauchi and Kano states.
Leading the delegation is the governor of Borno State, Kashim Shettima. The forum congratulated the Tortiv-elect for his victory. Governor Shettima urged the Tortiv-elect to work towards unifying the people as well as join the leaders of the North to unite the region. He assured the monarch of their support for him to succeed.
We're wishing you long life and prosperity. I hear, sir, to cement that bond of friendship, that bond of fraternity, because we are all united by our common heritage of poverty, of insecurity, of destitution, of illiteracy, of backwardness.
In their various remarks, Governor Samuel Otom and Senators George Akume and Barnabas Gamade expressed appreciation to the forum for the visit and said it is to show that the people will not be left out in the scheme of things.
The leadership under the chairman of Governor of Borno in our Governors Forum have really shown that, yes, we have brothers in the North.
In his response, the Totif-elect, Professor James Ayasi, said the visit has further encouraged him and promised to justify his elevation to the position.
I'm happy for this honor that the Excellencies have come to visit and rejoice with the Chief Nation over the appointment of a new paramount leader.
The team further met with representatives of the three arms of government where they extended the felicitations of President Muhammadu Buhari as well as the APC to them for working hard to ensure the victory of the party in the state.
Though the governors have come and gone, but the message they brought is still relevant, that of the unity of the region and of the country in general. This is what they say should be imbibed by every Nigerian, even as they usher in the new year. In Makudi, Achigili Magaji, NT News.
And as crisis in southern Kaduna broke out again during the Christmas season, the Secretary General of the Nigeria Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs, Professor Ishaq Oloyede, has maintained that the recurring violence should not be given a religious coloration. Professor Oloyede, who is also the registrar of the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAM, commented on the crisis while answering questions on NTA's current affairs program, One on One. Emmanuel Ayimero has excerpts from the package.
Referring to the recurring crisis in southern Kaduna, Professor Oloyede stated that it was more a struggle for power than religious or ethnic. He was emphatic that the perpetrators were neither true Muslims nor true Christians and regretted that the situation was further compounded by unbalanced media reports and comments by some individuals.
In those days, the truth of the matter is that in Nigeria, more often than not, religion is being used for non-religious purposes. That is the underlying factor. People use religion when it is convenient for them. They are not religious personally. They are only publicly religious. Assuming for the purpose of argument that we have 50% Muslims, 50% Christian. We don't, but assuming for the purpose of argument, why do we have all these problems in the society? These are not Muslims. These are not Christians. They become Muslims when it is convenient for them. In those days in Lagos, that's what we used to do. When it is about the time of Christmas, all of us, because of chicken and so on, that will go rice and so on, we become, at least for that period, we will go from house to house enjoying the festivity of Christmas. When it is time for Ileya, all of us, whether Christian, Muslim, no small children, we become Muslims. Even if you need to pray in the Muslim way, you do it. That is the convenient Islam and Christianity that people are doing in Nigeria. When you examine them critically, they are not Muslims, they are not Christians. That now you have a real Muslim, genuine Muslim as president. You have a genuine Christian as a vice president. I believe they should use their strength, their purpose to turn the thing. Because those who are causing these problems are fake Muslims, they are fake Christians.
Professor Oloyede appealed to religious adherents to live together in peace. In Abuja, Emmanuel Ayimero, NTA News.
And you can watch the full package of that program tomorrow at 2 o'clock in the afternoon in place of Platform. 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon in place of Platform. Moving on now, Theatre Commander Operation Lafia Dole, Major General Lucky Irabo, says the military will not be distracted from pursuing fleeing members of the Boko Haram sect, and they will not allow the insurgents establish foothold in any recaptured territory. Major General Irabo was speaking at the weekly media briefing on activities of the military exercise in the northeast. He said quite a number of the Boko Haram members have been captured, some surrendered, and they are working in concert with Cameroon forces.
The Cameroon forces are currently operating at Ngoshe. So within the week, we had a link up with them, and the operations they've been conducting have been very successful. These are further exploitation which the Cameroonians conducted, and these are the recoveries from there. We have a summary of those that we've arrested and rescued, a total of 1,400 of them. We, in Operation Lafia Dole, will not rest on our oars until we totally, of course, achieve the mandate for which Operation Lafia Dole was constituted.
Some of the captured Boko Haram members urged those still in hiding to come out and surrender to the Nigerian army.
This time to tell to my people right there in the bush that because when they are there, they do not think that Nigerian army, if they came and surrender, they will not be killed. Leaders that they are there, they already deceived them.
Gaskiya ne abin da ake faɗa suna karɓan saranda kuma za a samu canjin rayuwa in Allah ya yarda. Don komai za a yi shi ne in Allah ya yarda. Saboda haka muna kiran yan uwanmu da suke jeji da Allah su yi haƙuri su bar dajin din nan. A dawo a ba da gwamnatin Najeriya haɗin kai a samu canjin rayuwa.
In a related development, economic development of communities and securing the borders of the nation have been described as panacea for sustaining the war against insurgency. The theatre commander of Operation Lafia Dole, Major General Lucky Irabo, stated this on NTA's current affairs program, Good Morning, Nigeria. Gufan Shaji has that report.
The commander says leadership was key to the success of Operation Lafia Dole, and this was provided by the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tuku Buratai, as well as other security agencies. However, he emphasized that the issue of security is a multi-sectoral engagement.
Greater measures will be taken to ensure that our borders are properly secured. That, from our part, from the military perspective, we're doing something, but again, that's not our responsibility, and I think it needs to be stressed. But again, the contributions we need to make to ensure that these borders are secured.
Other discussants implored the military to be cautious and not to be quick in recalling the troops back to the barracks, while emphasizing on the need to sensitize communities on the need for peace.
Especially issues around civil liberty, poverty, unemployment. Unfortunately, it is not a military effort. It is something that other elements that would have embraced.
We should sustain the gain by dominating the otherwise ungoverned spaces that encouraged this insurgency.
Have a lot of programs designed to ensure that our young people, especially, are not exposed to these violent ideologies anymore.
With about 1,240 girls rescued, the Major General reassured Nigerians that the military will not rest on its house in ensuring that the remaining Chibok girls are found and rescued. In Abuja, Gufan Shaji, NTA News.
And still staying with security matters, and to ensure effective operation of the Delta Safe Mandate, which includes prevention of crude oil theft and militancy, the commander of the operation Rear Admiral Akpochi Suleiman has expressed the readiness of the Joint Task Force to curtail criminality in the Niger Delta region. Rear Admiral Suleiman stated this at the Ikang border post in Bakassi local government area of Cross River State, shortly after embarking on the exercise within the Niger Delta creeks. Budi Yapwen has more on that report.
Rear Admiral Suleiman, accompanied by his component commanders, said the exercise is to ensure that critical national oil and gas infrastructure are properly protected while nipping other forms of criminality in the board. The operations commander expressed confidence that the troops are well positioned to discharge their duties effectively.
What we've done so far, what we've seen so far is that our men are ready and are prepared for any eventuality to assure of enforcing the mandate that have been given to us. So far, you can agree with me that there's a relative peace within our joint operation area, and I think that is what I think we have achieved within this period.
The flag officer commanding Eastern Naval Command, Rear Admiral James Oluwole, while receiving Commander Suleiman in his office in Calabar, urged security agencies in the country to collaborate more to forestall any threat to the country's national interests.
We have a common goal, and that goal is tied to the national interests of Nigeria. All the components that are present here, it is just one goal we are pursuing, and that we are drawn from the strategic direction that comes from up there.
Areas visited in Cross River State include Esigi in Akpabuyo, Ikang border post, and Achibong town in Bakassi local government area. In Calabar, Body Akpan, NTA News.
And the need for Nigerians to support the Buhari administration in fighting corruption and insurgency was identified as key to bringing the nation out of recession. A panel of discussants on NTA's Current Affairs program Tuesday Live made the submission while reviewing the year 2016 and the President's New Year message. Joseph Johnson reports.
The message of hope for the new year by President Muhammadu Buhari touched on issues such as corruption, terrorism, and state of the economy. Looking back at the good, the bad, and the ugly experiences in 2016, the panelists juxtaposed the President's New Year message with reality.
There are issues of concern in terms of some of the milestones that we are now wanting to celebrate. Like take for instance the 5,000 naira for 1 million Nigerians. This must be tied to productive ventures in such a manner that we will see this clearly.
There is a need for massive international support. We need to have all of these things coming in. A lot of promises are being given, but these promises are not being matched with action.
But with the perceived obstacles to the roadmap of these economic policies, what should Nigerians do to support the President's quest in taking the country to a comfortable level of prosperity?
Some people were eating too much and ripping government off. And I think we went into that and we were able to save government no less than 5 billion. The National Assembly has committed to ensuring that we do all we can to really help government to stop corruption.
When we speak of corruption, corruption actually translates to distortion of values. If you have a pot of soup, I put sand in it, I corrupted it. While we are doing the one of picking up people who have stolen funds, let's also think about national values. Restoration of the defining elements of the people that make us Nigerians.
As Nigerians look forward to breathe a sigh of relief, especially with President Muhammadu Buhari's inspiring message, there are two things they won't lose: optimism and resilience. Joseph Johnson, NTA News.
Many thanks, Joseph. And in a related development, Nigerians, like their counterparts elsewhere in the world, ushered the new year with high hopes and expectations. Annie Daniels, who went around the city of Lagos to find out expectations of Lagos residents, reports that security for the year 2017, sustained war against corruption, and economic stabilization or stability were top on the list.
Many Nigerians say they experienced challenges as a result of economic recession that affected the nation. In spite of these, some have applauded the giant strides taken by the federal government in combating insecurity and economic recession.
On the security, I think they have made a headway. They knew what Nigerians went through the last year, but this year I believe they will put some adjustments and do something better.
Respondents suggest that concerted efforts by governments at all levels to reposition the economy and consolidate on the past gains recorded should be upheld and improved upon.
The budget is okay. I believe the budget will help the nation. They have to put more security in place, create more jobs for the youths. Let them reduce the way they are taxing us for our good. If you import your market now, to clear it is very difficult for us. In terms of road and electricity, we wanted to help us in those areas. There will be need for government to try as much as possible to improve on agriculture. It's very important.
All this Muslim and Christian religious fighting, we should put stop to it. It will take us to nowhere.
In all, respondents are optimistic that the government will ensure that the citizenry benefit from good governance. In Lagos, Annie Daniels, NTA News.
And you can watch this news live online via the NTA mobile app, which you can download on your Android device at the Google Play Store or at the Apple Store if you use devices with iOS. Still to come, will it be that the political tension in Rivers State has finally been doused with the swearing in of new lawmakers? Plus, agriculture in the dry season will bring you the trending advice. Do stay with us.
From what we have seen, we have the capacity which we can rapidly develop or feed ourselves. If we don't import rice, we stop importing corn and other grains, Nigeria will have plenty of money to invest into developing industries, especially manufacturing, textiles and so on, and develop iron and steel, and complement the infrastructure development. So really, the opportunities are virtually limitless, and we are very, very aware of this, and we are prepared to exploit it to the fullest.
When you look at the world today, what do you see? The obvious or much more? The ideal quality or the talents of thousands paying off? Do you see an instant message or millions of strengthened relationships? Do you see an app or creative entrepreneurs? An email or multiples of successful business transactions? Do you see charity or renewed faith in our shared humanity? Do you hear the laughter of millions of people in Africa's largest family? It's never enough to see only what's before us. That's why MTN is empowering a tomorrow that's driven by digital technology and made for Africa by Africans.
Hello? Welcome to the M6 Challenge. Using your new Xiaomi M6, carry out everything on that list, starting now. Gioni M6 with a 5,000 milliampere battery that lets you go on for 2 days on a single charge. Gioni M6, always in power.
The Future Assured project and its components Get Involved, initiated by the wife of the President, Her Excellency Aisha Muhammadu Buhari, is not relenting in championing the cause of Nigerian women and children. Its provision of free medical screening, educational support, and the fight against malnutrition, especially in the Northeast, has indeed informed international recognition, partnerships and awards.
We are very grateful and appreciative for your wonderful gesture you have accorded to us.
With Future Assured, Nigerian women and children are assured of a bright future.
Future is assured when we join hands to promote the health of our women and children. Get involved.
Get involved and support the Future Assured initiative. Future Assured, promoting and protecting the lives of Nigerian women and children.
Appreciating the resilience of the Nigerian Armed Forces, join the Minister of Defense, service chiefs and other stakeholders in the defense sector as we pray for the Nigerian Armed Force veterans of various world and internal conflicts. Venue, National Christian Center, Abuja. Date, Sunday, 8 January 2017. Time, 12 noon. And National Mosque, Friday, 13 January 2017. Time, 1 p.m. The welfare of the troops, the veterans and the families of our fallen heroes is the responsibility of all. Be a part of the national appreciation of the resilience of the armed forces, our veterans and the families of the fallen heroes. The efficacy of prayer is not to be underestimated. Join other Nigerians as we pray for Nigeria, our troops, our veterans, our fallen heroes, and those they left behind. Join us. Announcer, Brigadier General Rabi Abubakar for National Planning Committee.
Okay, sir. You may now go in for your interview.
Thank you.
Ah, my shoe. And to think I just bought this very expensive foreign shoe 2 months ago.
So sorry about your shoes. This is why I advise my friends to always patronize made in Nigeria products. See this shoe. It's made in Nigeria and I've had it for 2 years and it's still as good as the day I bought it.
Made in Nigeria products are good quality, and stringent government regulations and certification now mean the goods made in Nigeria meet international standards. Make the patriotic choice today. Buy right. Buy made in Nigeria.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
And you're still watching NTA News Extra. President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the deployment of 3 permanent secretaries. They are Dr. Folashade Yemi Eson, deployed from the Federal Ministry of Education to the Office of the Head of Service of the Federation. Also deployed are Dr. Jamila Shuara from the Federal Ministry of Petroleum Resources to the Federal Ministry of Education, while Christian Chineaka Oha moves from the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports to the Head of Service of the Federation. In a circular conveying the deployment, Head of Service of the Federation, Winifred Oyoita, says the handover and takeover ceremony should be completed on or before Tuesday, the 10th of this month. Bauchi State Government says it is emulating President Muhammadu Buhari's leadership qualities, especially in the fight against corruption, for the overall development of the state. Adebola Brookslyn Sunday reports that this is evident in what the APC-led administration in the state has accomplished so far.
Fight against corruption, security and economic development are major areas of focus of the present administration's change agenda, which is helping the nation to get back on track.
They are able to release quite a lot of resources that in the past were wasted in the name of security and other things.
Governor Mohammed Abubakar says these cardinal points have helped the state to build some of the infrastructure.
What I have done when I came in is to plug the loopholes for wastages and to stamp out graft in the running of affairs of government. And through that, we have released quite a lot. In the past, when people come out to revamp education, what they do is to renovate schools. They do not give attention to the teachers, who are key.
Housing for low-income earners is one of the state's achievements.
For the general populace, some of it will, civil servants will get preference. I like to feel that somebody will serve the state for a number of years, 30 years or so, and he ends up without accommodation and so on.
The governor urged Nigerians to continue to support the APC's government for the development of the country. Adebola, Brooklyn Sunday, NTA News.
And turning to agriculture, farmers in most parts of northern states in Nigeria have gone back to the farm for the dry season farming, following the good output recorded during the 2016 wet season farming. The farmers say they are encouraged by the high demand and supply of food items and government policy on all year-round food production. Musa Babaliu has details.
The northern part of Nigeria has tropical dry climate with low rainfall that lasts for only 3 to 4 months. In spite of this, farmers in the part of the country contribute largely to national food production, though the dwindling rainfall remains a challenge. Irrigation farming, also known as dry season farming, has been complementing the gap left during the wet season farming. This group of farmers in Jibia local government area of Katsina State said high demand for food items is what encouraged them to immediately go back to farm after harvest of their wet season crops. Source of water, pumping machines, fueling and other logistics, they however said are the major challenges associated with dry season farming. Vegetables are mainly cultivated under irrigation system of farming, but with high demand and supply for grains, the farmers are gradually shifting to crops such as maize, rice and wheat. Muhammad Musa, a farmer in Bunkure local government area of Kano State, said it is cheaper to produce vegetables than grains under irrigation. Reports from Kano, Jigawa, Kebbi, Sokoto and Zamfara states say farmers are utilizing the water bodies provided by the federal government for the dry season farming.
Kaduna state government is making efforts to provide to our farmers about 300 tractors, 1,000 power tillers, 300 irrigation kits in the shortest possible time.
The state government in the last season decided to uptake all the surpluses of wheat running into millions of naira from our farmers, part of which is now being used as seed for the current season.
We give them rain boot, raincoat, sprayers at the cost of 50%, no matter how it will be in the market.
The federal government in the 2017 budget plans to provide 37 earth dams, irrigation equipment and financial support to farmers nationwide.
This business of waiting for the rainy season alone to support our grain production and our agriculture generally is something we cannot have the luxury of engaging in. Food has to be produced all year round through irrigation.
From Bunkure local government area of Kano State, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
And still on agriculture, farmers have been enjoined to take advantage of the Harmattan period by using direct irrigation to plant crops that are not Harmattan friendly. This was the consensus of opinion in this report by Oyeyinka Folarami.
It is Harmattan season again. The change in the weather is obvious and the people and nature are reacting. Harmattan is that time of the year where the wind is dry and dusty, all because of obvious loss of moisture in the atmosphere. The wind blows from the Sahara Desert over the West African subcontinent into the Gulf of Guinea between the end of November and middle of March. Dr. Ibitun Adelekon is a meteorologist.
ITD, intertropical discontinuity, moves, it fluctuates. Whenever it moves, then the northern part of the ITD, which is covered by the northeasterly winds, will be over that particular area.
When compared to the raining season, where plants get enough moisture to grow well, what could be the effect of harmattan on plants?
Professor Adegbenga Adekoya is an agri-economist.
Lower temperature that we experience now encourage fruiting. Ripening may be more difficult now, but fruiting is enhanced. And so by the time the temperature picks up a little bit, like earlier in January, later in January or early February, then you see more ripening occurring to so many of those crops.
Professor Adekoya explained that inasmuch as the period is associated with low humidity, farmers could, through irrigation, make more money during the period by using irrigation to plants such as vegetables, which could be scarce at this time.
During Harmattan, you have several crops being scarce in the market. So any farmer that engages himself in producing such crops during Harmattan is going to really make so much money.
It is expected that farmers will take advantage of the weather for the production of more food crops in Ibadan. Oyeyinka Folaranmi,
Benue State is referred to as the food basket of the nation because of its fertile land and the enthusiasm of the average Tiv person towards farming. In this report, Charles Abba tells us how agriculture is contributing to the economy of that state.
Benue State, for instance, which has the appellation food basket of the nation, left Taraku mills and integrated agro-processing industry to suffer neglect and mismanagement that finally sent it into comatose. Established in the early 80s, Taraku mills started production in 1989, churning out tons of the finest golden soya oil in the country, alongside royal corn oil, sunflower oil, benolina, benofits, soya meals, and benogrits, which were marketed across the nation and beyond. It provided ready markets for soybeans, maize, groundnut, and other cereals farmers, and created jobs for over 300 people, majority of whom have been laid off with their salaries unpaid. One of such persons is Akure Geba. What exactly would you say was the production capacity of Taraku mills when you were there?
Actually, the installed capacity of operation on an annual basis was 7.2 metric tons. We believe earnestly that if this company is assisted and allowed to function based on its own design concept, and even if it is modified small, it will be of great benefit to the people of Benue State, in particular this country, and in fact the entire West Africa as a whole.
Today, Taraku Oil Mill lies as a shadow of its former glory. But all hope is not lost, as the present administration under Governor Samuel Otom has pledged to resuscitate it in the face of the present economic reality.
With this factory working, an average farmer will have something to take home.
Other ailing agro-allied industries, which if revived could heal the sick economy of the state, include the Tomato and Mango Juice Company in Wanune, Lobby Cassava Flour Limited in Buruku, Benue Agro Millers Company, Benue Fertilizers and Chemicals Limited, and the Tarago Fruit Juice Company in Makudi. There are several private agro-based industries like Oracle Investments and Apex Exports Products Limited, which produce cassava flour, animal feeds, shea butter, sacks for packaging grains, and others. These are functional but need support. As the heads say, they face enormous challenges.
We are running completely on diesel. All sorts of taxations. So we are being choked up. So we have a situation whereby our expenditure is on the rise, and it's discouraging us.
There is rarely any community in Benue State that did not benefit from the services of all the moribund agro-processing companies, especially the Taraku mills when they were fully operational. Analysts and indeed many citizens of the state feel that the resuscitation of the moribund agro-allied processing industries will not only serve as panacea to post-harvest losses, but will also cushion the suffering of the people, tame the tide of youth restiveness, and add great value to the economy of the state.
Charles Abba there reporting. The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, says it has seized substance suspected to be Indian hemp worth over 7.5 million naira in Kogi State. The NDLEA commander in that state, Muhammad Bello Idris, stated this in Lokoja while reviewing activities of the agency in the last 1 year. Solomon Ayede has that report.
The state commander of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency said Kogi's location as a gateway state to the north and south has made it prone to drug traffickers. A total of 234 suspects, including 10 females, were arrested between January last year and now in various operations aimed at cracking down on illicit drug trafficking.
Our best efforts on certain occasions were crowned with successes due to the cooperation and assistance of our sister agencies in the area of suspect transfer, intelligence sharing, and raid operations.
Alhaji Bello Idris maintained that the fight against drug abuse is a collective responsibility of all and sundry. In Lokoja, Solomon Ayede, NTA News.
The Change Begin With Me initiative of the federal government may already be bearing fruits outside Nigeria, as members of the Canadian Association of Nigerian Physicians and Dentists, CANPAD, have set in motion a chain of actions to stop the cliché, government must do it alone. In this report, Joy Osiago examines the new strategy adopted by CANPAD members from the lens of Dr. Tito Daudu and the lessons for similar organizations in other parts of the world.
I love medicine because it's just an amazing opportunity to be able to help people in your community.
Dr. Tito Daudu, a medical practitioner in Canada, is passionate about developing international partnerships to strengthen medical education in developing economies. Her first choice for the experiment was Nigeria.
As a resident, I thought, what are the kind of things that I can help or impact with the way that they're doing training, specifically surgical training in Nigeria. So I went to do a pilot project at UCH and as well as at the University of Calabar, where we started to look at what are the ways that we're training the house officers in surgical training, and to try to start to identify gaps so that we can start to build and facilitate programs that help those trainees when they're out doing their NYSC year or further along if they're doing residency training afterwards.
She is a young member of the Canadian Association of Nigerian Physicians and Dentists, CANPAD, an association